Nasser al-Madalji is from the Dayton area and is an Iraqi-born U.S. citizen.
10 TV's Cierra Johnson has been looking into this case against him. She joins us live from the airport. Cierra?
Yes, Cierra and Yolanda, federal agents tell me that 19-year-old had his bags packed and his boarding ticket in hand when he was arrested yesterday here at John Glenn International Airport. Now, this 24-page federal complaint outlines what those federal investigators found over months of surveillance. They found his travel plans, his terror training, and his pledge of allegiance to ISIS. Take a listen. 19-year-old Nasser al-Madalji first landed on the Fed's radar in February of this year. According to documents, he traveled alone to Jordan and Egypt for the purpose of joining a terrorist group. And it was what customs found in his bag that threw up red flags.
They noticed that he had these tactical headscarves in his bag that he said during the interview he thought they looked good on fighters. And so that prompted additional interest in him.
Then in August, al-Madalji had online conversations with someone he thought was with ISIS. He told the alleged associate he was, quote, fluent in Arabic and English, and, quote, I don't have much computer skills, but if you guys ever need anything in English or Arabic, let me know. And days later, he told another alleged associate he wasn't interested in college because he was, quote, not staying in this land much longer. He discussed desire to cause conflict in the U.S. and forwarded videos of himself pledging his allegiance to the terrorist group and tips on how others could travel to join ISIS without detection. What the teen didn't know was that he was never speaking with terrorist supporters, but federal investigators.
Most of them were cooperating with the FBI or were themselves undercover FBI agents.
And those federal investigators tell us these charges against the teen could land him up to 20 years in prison. And all new at 6, we dive deeper into radicalization and we give you more on this teen's background. We're live at John Glenn International Airport. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Thanks, Cierra. The suspected terrorist in training arrested in Columbus. Tonight, we're piecing together his alleged plans and allegiance to ISIS. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Jerry Revish.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. 19-year-old Nasser al-Madalji was born in Iraq but lived in the Dayton area. Investigators say he planned to be smuggled into Afghanistan to learn to kill. But his journey came to a halt at John Glenn Columbus International Airport.
That's where we find Cierra Johnson with new information from the Justice Department. Cierra.
Yes, Jerry and Yolanda, those federal investigators were able to stop that teen here at John Glenn International Airport yesterday before he was even able to board his flight. This after they tracked him for months while he was communicating online with who he thought were ISIS supporters. He even pledged his allegiance to ISIS and said he was going to join the terror group. Now, he was at this airport with plans to fly to D.C. and then to Germany and then to Kazakhstan, where he was going to be smuggled into Afghanistan. Now, take a look at his picture again. Federal investigators say the 19-year-old was an Iraqi-born U.S. citizen. He came to the U.S. with his family 10 years ago and lived in the Dayton area. As a naturalized U.S. citizen, al-Madalji used the internet to communicate with who he believed to be ISIS supporters. He planned both short-term and long-term attacks online, even recording videos of how others can join ISIS without being detected. But his plans were, of course, foiled because he was not speaking with terror associates, but rather federal agents working undercover.
He had tickets to go from Columbus to Dulles in Washington, from Washington to Germany, and then from Germany to Kazakhstan, where he was planning to then be smuggled into Afghanistan to go join ISIS.
And those federal investigators say it was a scarf that he had in his bag when he returned from an earlier trip to Egypt and Jordan that gave him away, tipped them off that he was in fact interested in joining ISIS. Again, a man has been arrested here. We're live at John Glenn International Airport. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
And that suspect is only 19 years old. The Homeland Security section of Columbus Police urges parents to be aware of terror-related propaganda. We're checking in on air travel too tonight. 10 TV reporter Cierra Johnson is live at John Glenn Columbus International Airport with the latest and how Ohio is stepping up to help. Tell us more, Cierra.
Yes, Jerry, Hurricane Michael is perhaps one of the strongest, most powerful storms to hit the Florida Panhandle, but that strength isn't exactly being felt here in central Ohio. If you take a look at the big board, there's not a lot of red. That red, of course, indicating cancellations or delays, both of which are far and few between. And as many keep their eyes glued to this board, a group of first responders are headed south ahead of the storm to help those who may have become stranded. Now, members of the state's water rescue group, Ohio Task Force 1, arrived in Montgomery, Alabama this morning, prepared to ride out the storm and head to the areas that were hardest hit by the storm. Now, Adam Landis says many in the group of 16 were part of a team that assisted during rescues in Hurricane Florence.
Most of us have a background as firefighters in the fire service or the first responder business, so you get pretty used to doing that after so many years that it's not like an everyday or a normal day in the firehouse. However, the training that we've had and the previous deployments that guys have been on have done a really good job of preparing everybody for these types of situations.
And another quick look at this board. Not a lot of red departures, looking good here at John Glenn International Airport. But of course, this is a very fluid storm, so it is best to check and double check any departures or arrivals. We're live at John Glenn International Airport. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Cierra Johnson is there along with people who've waited for hours to get a good spot. Cierra?
Yes, good evening. We're about 2 hours from President Donald Trump taking the stage here in Lebanon, Ohio. Right now, this venue has just about reached capacity. Those rows surrounding the floor filled first and then the floor filled shortly after. This crowd, of course, has stayed pretty lively in the few hours leading up to President Trump's arrival. And take a look at this video. Outside of the gates, people began lining up early this morning, with some even camping out with hopes of snagging that best seat in this venue that holds about 2,500 people. Now, we've been in Lebanon since early this morning, and we spoke with folks from across the state. Many we spoke with said they're hoping to hear Trump's plan on health care and how he plans to tackle the high price of prescription drugs. Many also wanting to hear Trump touch on job creation here in the Buckeye State.
I want to hear what's going on and what he's planning next. He's been doing a lot of things. I especially want to hear something about prescription drugs, some of the Medicare type things.
For existing.
It's excitement, it's camaraderie, it's being able to scream, "Yay, Trump," without worrying about who's going to come out and maybe hit you over the head or throw something at you.
And this visit, of course, coming at a crucial time, just weeks before the midterm election. President Trump is expected to encourage those in attendance to turn out to vote and avoid some of those wins by the Democrat in those key races. We're live in Warren County. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
All right, thank you, Cierra. Trump is in the Buckeye State, urging Ohioans to vote Republican this November. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson is in Lebanon and Southwest Ohio, where supporters are packing the Warren County Fairgrounds.
Good evening. We are about an hour away before President Donald Trump takes the stage here in Lebanon, Ohio. We have been told he has touched down here in the Buckeye State and is headed our direction. Now, outside of the gates, people began lining up early this morning. This scene with some even camping out last night with hopes of snagging a seat in this venue that can hold about 2,500 people. Now, we've been in Lebanon since this morning. I've had the opportunity to speak with people from throughout the state. Many we spoke to say they're hoping to hear about Trump speak about those job opportunities around the state. Many we spoke to also are hoping to hear about how he plans to tackle health care and the price of prescription drugs.
I'm just excited to see a man with such power and such a grand standing on the global scale in person. I just think it's a very cool experience.
I want to hear what's going on and what he's planning next. He's been doing a lot of things. I especially want to hear something about prescription drugs, some of the Medicare type things.
For existing.
And President Trump's visit to Ohio comes at a key time with just a few weeks until the midterm elections. President Trump is expected to encourage people to come out to vote to avoid losses in some of those key rates to the Democrats. We're in Warren County. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Latest on the crew as we get new information on this deal.
Well, now to campaign 2018, and President Trump spent most of his evening here in Ohio trying to convince voters to keep the Buckeye State red in the November election. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson was at tonight's rally in Warren County.
President Trump's speech now over. He made a strong plea to thousands, urging folks to head out to the polls come November 6th and support a straight Republican ticket.
It's been Republican leadership, and we are here to make sure that our amazing progress continues.
Trump spoke to a standing room only crowd, not wasting any time, jumping right in to highlight what he's calling, quote, the tremendous progress his administration has made in the last 2 years.
America is booming. America is thriving, and America is winning, really winning again.
The president discussed the low unemployment rates, boom in steel mills, and influx of jobs created. But it didn't take long for the president, at his third rally of the week, to begin the plea for early voting and high voter turnout come November 6th.
Don't take any chances, get out and vote.
The president highlighting the key state races, both the Senate race between Democrat Sherrod Brown and Jim Renacci, and gubernatorial matchups between Mike DeWine and Richard Cordray.
You know, they say we have a majority. But if somebody has a cold, they can't come in, we don't have a majority anymore. We got to get people. We got to get some Republicans so we can vote.
President Trump's plea: head to the polls and support those Republican candidates come November 6th. In Lebanon, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Police have arrested a man named Randall Tharp. The woman he's accused of trying to abduct near South Wyant Avenue in East Columbus says he made multiple attempts at it. 10 TV Cierra Johnson joins us now with more on what Tharp's accused of doing. Cierra?
Yes, Scott, according to Columbus police, this man, Randall Tharp of Baltimore, Ohio, is accused of identifying himself as a Columbus police detective. A woman on the city's east side said he had a handgun, handcuffs, even a bulletproof vest with police on the back. But she began to become suspicious when Tharp failed to show a badge. Now, a police report says Tharp ventured to the South Wyant Avenue a total of 3 times since Thursday. The first time, a female victim told police she was walking near her home and Tharp appeared wearing what looked like an officer's uniform. He identified himself as a Columbus police detective and ordered the woman in the car. He appeared twice the next day wearing a similar outfit and again ordered the woman into his car, this time showing a gun. That female victim was able to escape each time. Randall Tharp was arrested by the real members of the Columbus Police Department and is facing charges of both impersonating an officer and attempted abduction. And we did some digging and learned that Randall Tharp is no stranger to the law and has a criminal history that includes kidnapping and sexual offenses. Tonight at 11, we'll break down his rap sheet. Scott?
All right, Cierra, thank you.
Now, this vote was highly anticipated and hotly debated all across the country. Here in Ohio, a mixed bag of reactions. Cierra Johnson went out after the vote to find out what you thought of the process. Cierra?
Yes, Pete, we spoke with several people and received a range of reaction to Judge Brett Kavanaugh being confirmed to the highest court of the land despite allegations of sexual misconduct. Now, we didn't find anyone that was not familiar with what played out at our nation's capital. Many we spoke with said they paid close attention to the allegations and the explanations made by both Dr. Christine Blasey Ford and Judge Brett Kavanaugh of Maryland. Reaction to the final 50-48 vote is mixed.
And it just seemed like it was all political. It was a witch hunt going after a man who had a spotless record for years. But then when they decide, to confirm him, then all of a sudden it came up.
I don't know whether it's true or not, but even if those allegations came up, that shows a lot about his character.
No, nothing really surprises me. Just makes me angry and sad and hurt.
Kavanaugh is officially the 114th Supreme Court Justice. He can begin work immediately. Pete?
All right, Cierra, thank you.
Firefighters say there were no working smoke detectors in that home. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson is in Marion. And Cierra, you spoke with firefighters late this afternoon.
Correct. Good evening. Investigators tell us it was in the middle of the night when that fire ripped through this Marion County home, destroying everything inside and the lives of the 3 generations living here. Now, we're going to give you a look right now. Right now, 3 children are being treated in Columbus for their injuries, and one woman who neighbors tell me is their grandmother didn't survive. We want to set the scene for you. Take a look at the video we shot earlier when we arrived on scene this morning. Firefighters say the fire started in the back of the home, and when they arrived, adults were trying to escape, even dropping children out of the second-story window. When they were able to get inside, firefighters found that grandmother who later died. They also found a 4-year-old child who at last check was in critical condition. A neighbor we spoke with say this fire happened to a good family and that grandmother was a sweet and caring woman.
She was real quiet. She took care of her grandkids. She sat outside with them every day, let them play, watched them. just a real good, solid family. It was a family.
And you can see this house is still boarded up. You can see the siding actually melted on the side of the home. Neighbors we spoke with say, again, this was a very good family, 3 generations living under one roof. They say they do believe this family did have pets, and to their knowledge, those pets were not able to escape. We're live in Marion County. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Fran, from one tragedy to another, devastation for a family tonight. They tried to escape their burning house, but one person did not make it out.
Well, that fire started shortly before 1 o'clock this morning on East Fairground Street in Marion. A woman in her 60s died. Children at the home had to be taken to local hospitals for treatment.
10 TV's Sierra Johnson is in Marion tonight with more on this tragedy. Sierra.
Yes, that overnight fire has destroyed the lives of 3 generations of one family. Now, we're being told 3 children are being treated in Columbus for their injuries they sustained during that fire. And one woman, who neighbors tell us is actually the grandmother of those children, did not survive after a fire swept through this home just feet away from the Marion County Fairgrounds. Now, firefighters say the fire started in the back of the home, and once they were able to get inside, they found that grandmother who later died. They also found a 4-year-old child who at last check was in critical condition. Tonight, this family is working through the loss of a loved one, all of their belongings, all while worrying about the 3 children still in the hospital.
Well, I know they're not going to have anything now. And I know to not have anything and then lose somebody and have to start all over, that will be the hardest thing somebody would ever have to do. I don't ever want to go through that.
You can see this house is still boarded up, the siding warped, and that crime tape actually still stands. We're being told by the firefighters that this home did not have any working smoke detectors. We're live in Marion. Sierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Thanks, Sierra.
Thank you for joining us here for 10 TV News. I'm Scott Light. The board initially announced Dominic Peretti's resignation earlier this month. Tonight, the board formally accepted his resignation. 10 TV's Sierra Johnson was at that meeting and has more on the accusations against him and the next step in filling a vacancy.
This stack of paper make up all 55 applications, cover letters, and letters of support for those hoping to land the title of Board of Education member. And that decision could happen in the next 48 hours.
So I think the ideal board member is someone who is really excited about the possibilities of the district.
Less than 10 days after Columbus Board of Education member Dominic Peretti submitted his letter of resignation, Board President Gary Baker says his colleagues are on track to fill the vacancy in the next couple of days. The vacancy comes after Peretti resigned from his job as an aide at the Ohio House of Representatives following allegations of sexual harassment from 2 female staffers.
Tuesday night, the board will meet in executive session during its regularly scheduled meeting to contemplate the applicants, and it is my anticipation that the board will name someone to fill the vacancy on Tuesday.
Baker seemed confident despite the fact the board members have to pick from a diverse group of 55 applicants. Those applications were due Friday.
It's exciting that many people feel that passionately about the district.
Those hoping to land a spot on the board come from a variety of fields, ranging from district graduates to educators and attorneys.
But the board will contemplate each and every applicant prior to making a final decision.
Sunday, board members spent about 20 minutes in executive session reviewing the applicant pool and discussing the selection process. Board President Gary Baker says some of the names looking to fill the vacancy are familiar to the board, but he says each application will still be reviewed. Scott?
We're always looking for ways that we can pull in different diverse groups of students and their backgrounds and what they're doing and what they're interested in.
And the state's largest university, The Ohio State University, is turning to gaming to do just that.
Schools across the country that are getting into this as well, and this gives us an opportunity to be competitive and help our students be competitive in a different aspect.
Vice President for Student Life, Molly Rance Calhoun, says the program took about 9 months to develop. She says the program is slated to begin in 2019, and it will stretch beyond just one college or department. It will have an interdisciplinary curriculum.
This is a great collaboration amongst several groups here at the university. The Medical Center is doing research. Academic Affairs is looking at it from a curriculum. And student life is looking from it from kind of the outside the classroom experience for students and what that might mean.
The university will offer both undergraduate and graduate degrees in various e-sport realms like management, art, production, and programming. And the university will focus on collaboration. This room in Lincoln Tower may not look like much now, but by 2019, this room will be filled with 80 high-end gaming and virtual reality computers. Those computers will connect the academic, the medical, and the competitive gaming program here at Ohio State.
Curriculum in any field, if a student is passionate about what they want to do, then their success rate is much higher. So if this is something that they're passionate about, they have an opportunity, they have a degree in it, lots of opportunities in the future.
In Columbus, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
A son's heartbreak after his mother was shot and killed while trying to help out a relative. On Wednesday, a barricade situation on the east side of Columbus left 2 people dead. Columbus police call it a murder-suicide. Reporter Cierra Johnson sits down with Jerry Helms' son to talk about his mother's legacy and how he hopes these deaths draw attention to the importance of treating mental illness.
The most difficult part is, well, how it happened.
For nearly 5 hours, Jeffrey Helms waited, wondered why this had to happen to his mother.
Very giving person. She's a retired school teacher with Columbus Public Schools. She's active in ministry.
Jeffrey says his mother, Jerry Helms, made it her life mission to serve and help others. For more than 3 decades, she taught English at Champion Middle School. She served in her church, and she cared for her relatives.
In taking care of her cousins, which were in a sense like little brothers to her. Every 2 weeks, on every other Wednesday, she was taking food to them just to make sure that they were taken care of.
But Jeffrey said one of those cousins, Donald Bug, who had battled mental illness for decades, was resistant to help. Jeffrey says his mother got caught in a family dispute that Donald Bug resented, and Bug often talked about it in a threatening manner.
She'd always tell me that, it's fine, she can handle it, he's just talking.
But on Wednesday, Jerry's life was cut short, doing what she did best, serving others.
The police barricade is set up, and I get as close as I can, and I'm trying to keep myself together.
Columbus police say after 5 hours of negotiating with Bug, they entered the home where he fired shots at officers. Then he turned the gun on himself. Police then found Jerry dead inside the home.
It just shows how unstable, imbalanced, and sick Donald was. Take mental illness seriously and get help. Get them help. Don't be ashamed to call your local health agency.
In Columbus, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
People think, oh, it's just smoke, it's not a big deal, but there's a lot of pretty bad stuff in that smoke that can cause a lot of health problems later on down the road.
Grandview Heights fire medic Joshua Hall says he's well aware of the dangers associated with his career. Beyond the threat of what the flames could do, Hall says it's the smoke that causes many in his field to worry.
Station stuff stays here, gets washed here, and I don't want to expose my family to that.
There are toxic chemicals and elements that can remain on their skin and remain with them.
A grant made available by the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation is making gear and equipment that can protect or remove harmful carcinogens available to departments statewide.
Some fire departments don't have access to enough funds, as many funds as they would like, and so this is a little boost to help them get those extra tools that can help them.
Since this program began, more than 456 fire departments have taken advantage of nearly $5 million. One of those fire departments is Grandview Heights.
There shouldn't be any exposed skin.
This Grandview Heights department received $9,600, with which they purchased retardant hoods, a special sauna to remove toxins from the skin, and a machine to clean soot-covered clothing.
We're always looking for ways to improve our safety so that we can stay on the job a little longer.
In Grandview, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
New tonight, a new program could help those beginning their recovery from opioids keep their jobs while teaching employers how to support them.
10 TV's Cierra Johnson reports this program could be crucial in helping addicts stay on the road to recovery.
I was hoping to die from drugs. I was hoping that I would do enough and that I would not wake up anymore. and that didn't happen.
Stacy Gibson said at his lowest point he would do anything to feed his addiction. The now 34-year-old says this mugshot was one of many, the result of drug-fueled decisions, moves to fund his next fix.
It wasn't just, this drug or that drink. It was a lot of things that I was doing to try to get outside of myself.
By May of 2013, Gibson was tired, hungry, and simply desperate for change. He checked himself into the Drug Rehabilitation Center Maryhaven and spent 57 intense days learning to live a sober life. And that learning didn't stop upon release.
I had to learn life all over again.
He said working in construction kept him going. The routine of waking up and doing something that so many of us take for granted gave his life purpose.
Each job that I picked is hard, but it still gives me a sense of pride that I can do a job, I can make an honest living.
This is a program that'll help employers hire, retain, and manage workers who are in recovery.
And it's that honest living, a crucial component of maintaining sobriety, that the Bureau of Workers' Compensation is hoping to provide throughout the state of Ohio. The state agency has secured a $2.5 million grant to launch the Opioid Workplace Safety Program. It would offer reimbursements for pre-employment, random and reasonable suspicion drug testing, training for managers leading those in recovery, and forums to share second chance success stories. A move this recovering addict says could give many in his shoes a fighting chance.
I think people in recovery are one of the hardest working people there is because we have gratitude.
In Columbus, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
As you might imagine, that video is getting a lot of reaction on social media. 10 TV Cierra Johnson went to Zoomers in Marion County to find out what really happened here. It's a story you'll only see on 10 TV.
I was terrified. That's not a phone call you expect from the sheriff's office at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're in bed.
This Marion County mother who asked us not to show her face says she went to sleep thinking her 13-year-old son was safe, having fun at an overnight lock-in at Zoomer's Skate Club.
I mean, there's not too much to do around here, and that's something for him to do. He gets to hang out with his friends, have some fun, and wear himself out.
But while this woman slept, her 8th grade son was caught on video being pushed by an adult staff member.
My heart dropped to my stomach. I was shaking. I was so, upset.
She still kept grabbing me and stuff.
This teen says he and his friends were spraying cologne to freshen up after hours of skating. He says the staff member asked to check his bag and he told her no. He says it was then the woman asked him to leave, and moments later, she began to get physical.
I got nauseous. It made me sick to my stomach saying that.
We reached out to the owner of Zoomer Skate Club in Marion. We were told the woman in the video is actually a cook and has worked at the venue for about a year, but has since been fired. Her husband, also an employee, was fired as well. The owner says Saturday's lock-in was the last, and a staff meeting was held to discuss the situation.
And we still ended up taking him, to the ER and having him checked by a doctor.
Although he is still wearing his emergency room bracelet, this mother says her son is physically okay. But she says she's unsure what psychological effects he may endure from a situation she says could have been quickly resolved.
I would have disciplined him how it should have been handled, not someone else attempting to discipline my child.
In Marion, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
And Cierra called a number registered to the woman in the video. A man answered the phone but did not comment. Also new tonight,